Greetings, welcome back. This is Queen Elle of QueenElle79. Today's video we will discuss the full moon in Sagittarius, which takes place on June 5th. If you hear some noise in the background, it is a rainy night here in Illinois, so the roads are a bit wet. So anyway, this full moon is actually a penumbral lunar eclipse. It is the second of 4 that are taking place in 2020. And as always, if you see me looking down, I have my planner handy with all of my notes that I've taken in my research and just gathering some insight and seeking some information from within as well with regard to how this penumbral lunar eclipse, as well as just being a full moon, will affect us as a whole, okay? So stay tuned for that. Let me take a sip of my tea. I always have my tea handy. Okay, so if you've checked out any of my lunar cycle videos, I always like to just go over the effect that full moon will have on us, specifically with regard to the zodiac sign that the full moon is in, as well as if there are any planetary transits taking place at the exact same time. And then I typically will pull a few cards to cover some things that will help us to get through this time, okay? So again, this full moon in Sagittarius is a penumbral lunar eclipse. So I will give you a definition of what that means. Again, this is the second of 4 in 2020. Now, a lunar eclipse, as most people are aware, is when the moon is completely blocked. Well, Earth blocks the sun from the moon, so it kind of goes between them, the way that their orbits interact with each other. And that means that the sun is not reflected on the moon, so that total lunar eclipse, things get really dark because there's no view of the moon at that point because it's not being illuminated by the sun. Now, a penumbral lunar eclipse, it means that there's just an imperfect alignment between sun, earth, and moon. And what happens is you'll see a shadow of the earth. So the earth is partially blocking the sun from lighting the moon. And so you'll see a shadow. It's from earth, the shadow on the moon. So the moon will have a darker, dim image, but it's because it's reflecting Earth's shadow on it. Now, from the research that I've done, this penumbral lunar eclipse will not be visible to North America. It will mostly be visible to South America, and mainly the southern hemisphere of Earth will really be able to see the effect of that penumbral lunar eclipse. So the northern hemisphere will most likely not see that. So there are some that we will, and actually with this being the second of 4 penumbral lunar eclipses, from the research I've done as we proceed on, by the time we get to the 4th one, which I believe is taking place around October, we will be able to see that one, and we'll see that shadow on the moon. But for this one, we probably won't see the effect of it, but we could definitely feel the effect of it. This is definitely a time for rebirth, and we consider this the ultimate shadow time. So the full moon is all about tapping into that shadow side of yourself, that hidden side of yourself, tapping into what a lot of us astrologers and spiritualists like to call that moon energy. And so this is the time to tap into any hidden dreams that you've had about yourself, any hidden desires, any hidden talents, any aspects of yourself that you either like to keep hidden from other people, or even those things that sometimes we suppress and try to hide from ourselves. This is the time to tap into that energy, okay? Now, this time of rebirth is considered a highly concentrated feminine energetic time. So this is the time, and it's not necessarily meant just for women, but all of us possess what can be considered feminine and masculine energy within us, and um, not in the patriarchal sense, but just more of the softer, loving, nurturing energy. Okay, so just in the most basic sense. Now, there are some Sagittarius traits because this full moon is in Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is a fire sign. So please note those Sagittarius traits are very rebellious, very honest, but also independent, curious, and inquisitive. And so with this full moon, that means that this is the time to kind of go against the grain when it comes to your inner or hidden self, when it comes to the way that you move, the way that you interact with others. Tap into that energy. Don't just go with the status quo. I've said that on previous videos that this is the time, now more than ever. Sorry, I just hit my desk. If you saw, it felt a little bounce. But this is the time to really be an individual. Do your own thing, march to the beat of your own drum. Don't feel like you have to move with everyone else or follow along with what everyone else is doing. If you question things, if you are, curious about the way that things are working or going in anything, in the obvious with what's going on in the world, down to your own daily life, it's good to question things. It's good to wonder about things, wonder about the inner workings of things, and question why things are working the way that they are, or if they should work the way that they do, or if you can come up with a more efficient way, a more effective way to get things done. This is the time to speak up on that, to act on that, on those thoughts. Be an individual, be a creative. Do not just don't be don't be sheep. That's something I've said before. It's not about sheep versus wolves. It's about just not being a follower. To be a creator, be just be original, be yourself. We've all been uniquely, divinely created. So this is the time to tap into that unique energy as well. Okay. Now, also, the ruling planet for Sagittarius is Jupiter. So that's something I wanted to note. Jupiter's all about generosity and being expansive. And so when I think about just our hidden talents, this is the time to share them with the world. The world needs you. The world needs your hidden talents. And to not be, sometimes we're, hoarding our talents on purpose, maybe because we don't want someone to steal our ideas or to copy us or mimic us. But other times we hoard them just for lack of relinquishing control, or lack of control in how people will think about you, or think about what you're doing, or what your thoughts and ideas are. We're so fearful of judgment and fearful of just others' opinions, that sometimes it stifles our own growth and it leaves us holding ourselves back. So this is the time to really let go and to be free. Feel free to do whatever, really. I mean, it's not even like the sky's the limit. There is no limit. The opportunities abound, and this is the time to really tap into that energy. Okay. Now, also, that ruling house for Jupiter and Sagittarius is philosophy. Now, again, that's where that inquisitive nature comes into play. And when you're really pondering just life in general, and what you want to do with your life for the rest of your life, this is really the time to figure all of that out. And of course, I don't mean figure it out in the sense of, you've got it all figured out, but this is the time to really think on it and to act on some ventures that you're thinking of. Anything that, you have kind of put on the back burner, or held yourself back from doing because you either didn't think that it was the right time, or you just had too much going on, well, now there's no time like the present to just dive right into that energy, okay? Now, I do want to pull, I didn't want this video to be too long. I know I can be a bit long-winded sometimes. So I've already shuffled my cards. This is my Modern Witch Tarot deck. And I wanted to just to pull a few cards with regard to what we need to know from the spirit guides for this full moon, the penumbral lunar eclipse taking place on June 5th, or rather what information we need to glean from in order to see us through this full moon energy, okay? So this card will represent what we need to embrace for this full moon, okay? The Seven of Swords. Now, this has a double meaning. So the Seven of Swords, it represents, being a conqueror. It represents being kind of like the winner with regard to, this game of life. Now, the one thing to remember is, and I've said this before, is it's not necessarily about, arriving or getting to the top. It's also about how you did it. How many bodies did you leave behind? How many people did you run over to accomplish what you set out to do? So it's important to know that, yes, this is the time to take charge and to move forward, press onward, to get the job done, do the damn thing. But it's important to know to not embrace the energy of just leaving people behind in the midst of your like eat my dust type of energy. It's about really finding the balance to, yes, be a conqueror, be on top of your game, but also to look, not just look out for yourself, but to think of the collective as well. So just be careful with that when you're making any type of changes that in your life right now, and tapping into that hidden energy, those hidden desires, and the things that you want to do or that you've always wanted to do that you've never tapped into. While you move full steam ahead with those endeavors, just be cognizant and conscientious of those around you and the impact that your actions have on them as well. Okay. Now, the next card is about what we need to release with this full moon. Now, this is the Four of Swords. So, again, we're in some sword energy. Now, the swords represent our intellect. The Four of Swords is all about what's keeping you up at night. It's all about any type of angst you feel, any type of just tumultuous energy, just to know not to let that overwhelm you, not to let it overtake you, to release it, release that energy, release it from your psyche. Now, I know, as I've said before, that's easier said than done, but sometimes it isn't. Sometimes it takes actually making a conscious decision that you will let something go. Let that be some of the affirmations that you say with this full moon, your intentions. Set your intentions to release anything that's holding you back, anything, any blockage that's in your mind, anything that's keeping you up, anything that's making you toss and turn at night, anything that is kind of plaguing your dreams, that you want to release that energy. Pray on it, meditate on it. Write those affirmations down. Set your intentions to release that energy, okay? That's what the spirit guides want me to tell you and me. Next, the last card will be the outcome. If you actually take heed to what I'm saying and, set those intentions, like I said, and affirmations with regard to how you will be moving forward, and also tapping into that hidden side of yourself. So this is the outcome. Okay, we have the Queen of Cups. Now, the Queen of Cups, she is all about love. She's all about effervescence. And I will say the cups are all about emotion. So the Queen is all about being. Okay, you can be emotive, but it's important to, while you're embodying your emotional self, it's important to, again, balance it out. Don't let your emotions overtake you. Don't let your emotions kind of cause you to feel overwhelmed I'm a Pisces sun sign, and it's easy for me to, and as an empath, it's easy for me to allow just an overwhelming amount of emotions to almost weigh me down to the point where I can't even act or function because I'm thinking like, oh, like, I just feel like the weight of the world on me. So it's important to note that, tap into that, your emotions as far as how you feel about situations, to not be so strict and stringent in your moves, that you can still tap into your emotional self and that sensitive side of yourself. Allow yourself to feel whatever you're dealing with right now. But also, I always say, do these things with balance. Don't let it overtake you. Don't let it overwhelm you or plague you to the point that you're kind of at a standstill and can't really move forward. So just everything with balance, okay? Now, if you have any questions with regard to tapping into this energy, tapping into the full moon energy, please don't hesitate to ask. Feel free to send me a DM on Instagram. My Instagram is queen_Elle_79. Also, feel free to reach out to me on Facebook. It's QueenElle79, just like my YouTube channel. Feel free to comment if you have any feedback you'd like to give, if you're interested in a personal tarot reading, or to have your astrological chart analyzed. I would be happy to do that. Those services are on Facebook. If you, pardon me. Again, if you just have any needs at all, I would love to be of service to you. Please don't hesitate to ask me. Thank you so much for joining me today. Ashe, be blessed.